Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot, and here's why you're not supposed to fly a 737-800 into London City Airport. But what if you absolutely had to? Well, today we are going to get right into it, and I'm going to show you how to attempt to do this professionally while obviously violating the limits of the aircraft and the airport. We are using the PMDG 737-800 together with Inibuild's fantastic brand new London City Airport, which I'm already really loving, and thank you so much to both developers for providing me copies of their aircraft for not just this video, but many more of them. So we're going to start with the takeoff. Obviously, 1,510 meters runway is pretty tight for a 737-800, so hint, only do this at home. Now, we are going to take the Brookmans Park 1 hotel departure over here, straight ahead left turn out, and the more interesting thing is our performance tool. So if we look down here, you'll see that our weight is right at the limit. So under the current condition, which is variable winds, temperature 1, QNH 1018, we can take 64.3 tons out of London City with flaps 25. Now, for those of you who don't remember, flaps 25, flap retraction schedule is 25, 15, 5, 1, 0. We do have a couple of speed restrictions on the SID, mostly the maximum 200 knot restriction until we have completed the first turn, which is limiting our flap retraction, but that shall not be our problem for today. So, in order to obtain the best possible takeoff performance, we are going to hold the airplane in position over here. You can see I've done the lineup about as tight as it gets, coming from here, and this is about the best we can achieve on the lineup over here. And then we are going to hold the brakes until the engines are stabilized on takeoff thrust, release the brakes, and from there we are going to do standard procedures. Okay, there is no dedicated short field takeoff procedure on the 737, with the exception, of course, of using flaps 25 over here. Now, we could have considered using APU bleed to pressurize the aircraft for the takeoff. That might have slightly increased our takeoff weight by, let's say, a couple hundred kilos or so, but I think we're close enough over here and we are ready to go. So let's first do the takeoff, then we come back and do the approach and landing. So timing, and then let's stabilize those engines. Parking brake is released, I'm manually standing in the brakes. And forgot to arm the auto thrust, here we go. Okay, set takeoff thrust. And here we go, brakes released, timing. Let's see how this is gonna go. $80 knots, checked. Gear up. Now, if you're wondering why did it look like there was so much runway left behind you, that's because we always have to take into consideration the engine failure case as well. And obviously that is what's been limiting us on this takeoff. Alright, Buck 200, flaps 15, flaps 5, flaps 1, and select vertical speed 1000. Here we go. Alright, you can see that I am cutting the turn a little shorter than the flight director commands me over there, but that is intentional because this turn is not actually defined in the on-off procedure. We can simply intercept the course to LCN 03 straight away. The real airplane, once the turn is completed, would update the turn so that the route line jumps to our present position. And I thought I told PMDG in the past to implement that. Looks like I may not have done that, so let's quickly fix that ourselves. LCN03, direct to enter. And here we go. Now we got Elnoff centered. We are capturing 3,000 feet. And here we go, Alt Hold. Alright, Command B. And then let's go ahead and get into heading mode to go onto a downwind over here. So let's make a left turn heading 270. Or make that 275 with those winds. And start to prepare the airplane. Let's also just go to the up speed over here and go flaps up after takeoff procedures. And that's pretty much it. So, air conditioning pressurization 1.6 maintaining set, altimeters, QNH 1018, and that's the after takeoff checklist complete. Now, let's go ahead and start to prepare for the approach. We are going to extend the center fix over here. And we can take an intercept course of 092. Like that. Then let's have a quick look into the approach chart. And then we are going to set up for the ILS runway 09 steep approach with a 5.5 degree glide slope. Needless to say, the airplane is not certified to fly this. But certification is not what we are into today. So, 11115. Nope. 11115, like that. That is looking good. And we're going down to a minimum of category Charlie 430. And here we go. Now let's run some mathematics and see if the performance tool would theoretically allow us to land here in London City. So, runway 09, import aircraft details, import weather, let's use 5 knots VREF edition and the flap configuration 40 with maximum manual and reverses all operational. And it actually tells us that we can land. So, that's looking quite good. What if we do air conditioning on? Forgot that earlier. Still the same thing. Auto brakes 3, however, wouldn't work. So, auto brake max it is. Now, we are definitely going to need flaps 40 in order to be able to get the airplane down on that glide without capturing any speed. So here we go, set up, let's copy that stuff over to the left display, like that, and here we go. Alright, and down here, flaps 40. Okay, all set up. Then let's go ahead and start the approach. We will make that left-hand turn over here onto a heading of 180, descend to an altitude of 2,000 feet, level change, and down we go. So we're receiving ILST and looking into the approach page. ILST is the correct ident. Fantastic. So the only way I see of flying this approach successfully is by having the airplane completely configured by the time that we intercept the glide slope. So let's go flaps 1. If we aren't completely configured, I see absolutely no way that we could successfully do this. And flaps 5. Okay, then it's runway 09, so let's turn left, heading 120, cleared for the approach. And here we go. Warlock glide slope armed. Plane is getting slow. Looks very good. Alright, so descent and approach checklists, please. Pressurization, land, alt, 0. NEIs off, approach and fuel disgusting, ES and RPUX checked and set. Descent checklist complete. And for the approach, let's do a frisk. Frequencies 11115, which are checked. Fixed rings, runway 09/4 miles. Items, we got ILST, cross-checked, standby instruments set, and courses 092. So approach checklist, altimeter and instruments, trust check, approach rates, check and set, approach checklist complete. So MCP speed, volo capture, alt acquire, and runway heading 092 is set. Okay, so gear down, flaps 15. And landing checklist to flaps. Start switches continuous, recall track, speed brake on green light, landing gear down 3 green, or brake max, holding flaps. Flaps 25. Speed check, flaps 25. And then we're just waiting for flaps 40 until the glide slope comes alive, and then we are done. Okay. So that's looking quite good. Now let's take a second to talk about the theory of the landing here. We're coming in on a very steep glide that's almost twice as steep as the normal approaches we would fly on the 737. Therefore, we have to flare it a little bit higher to be able to arrest the descent rate before we bang ourselves into that runway. So, glide stop alive, flaps 40. And here's VRF plus 5. Complete the checklist. Flaps 40-40 green light, landing lines on, landing checklist completed, proceeded, clear land. So, glide slope capture, go around altitude set. Let's go ahead and reduce that thrust to idle.
Caution, terrain.
That is somewhat expected.
Caution, terrain.
I'm gonna turn that off. But you can immediately see the problems that I referred to earlier. It kinda didn't intercept the glide slope well. That is expected because the airplane is of course not certified to fly an approach as steep as this. Now let's take over manually here and see if we can get her back onto speed. Needless to say, this is absolutely not what you are supposed to do in a 737. And you can see why. Yeah, that warning is expected since, again, the plane isn't certified for this. Continue. Alright, but it looks like we're at least getting that speed back. Let's hope the sync rate call doesn't block the radio altimeter calls. So, flare. And touchdown on the aiming point. Okay, speed brake up, thrust was normal. Manual brakes. And as you can see, once you're on the ground, stopping it is no problem at all anymore, since the auto brake is more than strong enough. But getting it there, that was the problem. You can tell that the airplane systems aren't meant for an approach like this, because you have the GPWS screaming at us, because obviously it's not expecting such high descent rates. With the GPWS screaming, the GPWS overrides the radio altimeter callouts, and that is why we kinda had to time the flare manually. And there then I basically banged it onto the aiming point, which is exactly where I wanted the airplane, so that we could ensure that we are going to be able to stop it right on here. Well, so as you can see, flying an approach like this on a 737, not a very good idea. It can be done if absolutely required in an emergency, but to put this into a bit of a perspective, the shortest runways that you regularly see the 737-800 operate on are around about 17 to 1800 meters. There's always Sao Paulo Congonhas, but that one has a standard 3-degree approach, not a 5.5-degree approach, which completely changes the dynamics of the approach. So, with all of that in mind, I think you're getting the idea why you should probably not put your 737 onto London City. Nonetheless, I hope that you found this one interesting. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a little bit more content of this type of style, like not completely serious, but how would you, how could you, in the perspective of an airline pilot, for something that you would obviously never do in your actual life. Let me know your feedback in the comments underneath. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like, comment and subscribe. And if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.